NieR Automata is back. It's finally back. Episode 4 of NieR Automata. I've been missing this show, honestly. Granted, my videos on this series don't really do that well. I don't know. Don't hit the algorithm. People aren't looking for the videos. People hate my videos on it. Either way, it's still one of those series that, despite the viewership, I really love chewing into this. I'm really fascinated by this world. And yes, coming from a perspective of somebody that has never played the games, I'm super lost. But I love that. I love trying to figure out this stuff. And my gosh, episode 4 was quite an episode to come back. Now, granted, episode 3 left us with like this big WTF with this Adam and this Eve that just appeared out of nowhere. And they were just kind of climbing out of each other. And yes, they were all birthed from machines that became a cocoon thingamajiggy. I was completely lost. I'm super lost with this episode 4. But I think the thing that really fascinated me about episode 4 is they absolutely nailed like this unsettling horror. They're all robots and androids, but holy crap, if this episode was not one of the best like suspense horror type-ish type thing that I've seen in anime in a long time. And I ate up every bit of it. Loved how they set up, like, the opening scene was super horrific. Like, you had all those little robots and they're playing out a little stage play mimicking humans, and then you have all these, yes, androids mimicking humans, all pretty much hung up and screaming. It was just the horror and the music and the screech. Everything was just so perfectly played out that I loved it. And then yes, everything later on was pretty horrific too, with the hacking and everything like that. So hats off. Like, I hate the fact that this has been delayed for so long, but man, what a knockout to come back with. I absolutely love this episode. I think it's probably my favorite episode of the series so far. Now, granted, like the later parts of episode 3 were just like, holy crap, this is amazing. But this one hit it. I mean, despite the fact that the CGI songstress thing didn't bother me too much. But now let's dive into this episode. Let's start from the beginning like I usually do. Following everything that happened, they do a report for the 2 mutants they end up finding. We see from the commander's perspective that she goes into some sort of command room where she's able to speak to what I'm assuming is the humans, because it has like this window open and you see what looks like the moon. And the weird thing that came from this whole conversation was it sort of made it seem like this was all according to plan. Like, everything that you're experiencing right now is fine. Like, the commander's saying, we need reinforcements, and she gets cut off. No, you're not going to get reinforcements. You've asked us multiple times, and she's talking about, we're going to lose 2B and 9S, which doesn't honestly make any sense because I think we've already lost them before, and they just moved their memories to new units. Maybe because if they don't upload in time, they're going to officially lose them, because it does seem like there's some sort of a communication issue with the area that they're at. So maybe if they don't upload, we're not going to be able to restore them. Maybe that's the mindset there. But no, this person talking to the commander says specifically that it doesn't matter. We're not going to send you any reinforcements. Use the resistance as decoys, which kind of plays into what they talk about later, where apparently at some point the resistance didn't get along well with the Yora. And so now they're basically being told, hey, have the Yoras use the resistance as a decoy. That's gonna definitely help everything. But no, the interesting thing that was stated here was special machine life forms like Adam and Eve, which is the ones that we see at the end of last episode, and all unique machine life forms that you will encounter in the future are all embedded within the plan of the project of Yora. Huh? Like, this is all according to their plan? I see it 2 different ways. Like, one is as if they want these machine life forms to evolve, or 2, it's just them sort of trying to make sure the commander believes that this is fine. Don't panic. Just keep sending things. Keep sending Yora. Keep sending androids. Send them to their deaths. We're fine. Don't hesitate, basically. If this person tells the commander that this is all according to plan, just keep sending units, keep throwing stuff at it until it dies, that makes sense from that perspective. But the one that kind of makes me puzzled more is the idea that this is something they want. Like, they want the machine life forms to evolve. Like, they want to create a sort of new species. It sort of plays into the conversation that 2B and 9S has with Lily and Jakasa. And the idea that this is good that they're evolving, because if they're evolving to be more like humans, then hopefully eventually we can converse with them. If they gain them, if they pretty much become humans, we can then talk to them logically. They won't just be repeating what humans used to say. We can then talk to them and talk about peace, which, yes, obviously upsets 9S. Like, after all the people we've sent to die? Like, yes, a ceasefire would be great. The war would end. But what about all the lives that we've lost before? And this is sort of, yes, a common issue that comes with any war. You don't want the war. And when you're in the midst of the war, so many people want peace. They want it to stop. Stop the pain. Stop people dying. But then there's that uneasiness that, okay, suddenly amidst a bunch of cannon fire, suddenly the flag gets raised to stop. And then we're supposed to stand side by side like nothing ever happened? No. The people before me that still have their guns in their hands, they're the ones that killed my friend, and now I'm not supposed to kill them anymore. It's that struggle that 9S is having, which, yes, you can argue is a human emotion that 9S is not supposed to have. We're going back into that whole conversation again. But again, is that what they want? Is that what they're telling the commander right there? Exactly what 9S doesn't seem to want. That hopefully, because we're not winning, hopefully the machine life forms will eventually accept us saying, hey, let's stop fighting. Maybe that's the goal. Maybe Adam and Eve is the goal that, again, if this is a human or the speaker for the humans, if that's what they wanted. They want this to end by them evolving enough to become human, which is a very interesting prospect. But yeah, the final statement that was made by Jakasa is kind of interesting as well. Like, that's kind of a good thing, this idea of the evolving, but equally as interesting is the idea that we, as the rebellion, as androids, we have to always follow orders. And we're mimicking humans. And here's the machine life forms, they're trying to mimic humans, but they're mimicking humans to become free. So it kind of seems like a little backwards. Again, this all goes to like this longer, bigger picture that I'm getting that sounds so bizarre in the idea that, again, if this is a human that's talking to Commander, follow orders. This is all according to the plan. Possibly to evolve, to let them be free, keep sending those that are not free to stop them, and eventually they'll become so evolved that we can then have peace. Just, it's bizarre, but it all makes sense technically. And yes, to the tragedy of the androids, the Yora, everybody that's been going before them. But yeah, that's a lot to get from like the very first segment of this episode, but hey, that's why I love the episode. But yeah, we have this little scene with 2B and 9S. They talk about these resources being rocketed back up to the bunker, and which brings up a good question mark. Why don't the machine life forms just attack the bunker? Like, they're aliens from space. Again, another big question mark that's raised. Why are they were able to make it here? Why can't they just go back up? Why don't they attack the bunker directly? It doesn't make any sense. Which that part kind of brings up the question mark of, I think something I mentioned a while back. I think I mentioned this. This idea that, what if the machine life forms were never aliens? What if the machine life forms were something that mankind created, got out of hand, and just started wiping out humankind? And that's why we're in the state that we are. Humankind crafted these things, they destroyed the Earth, the mankind had to flee. Not aliens come down, attack Earth, and then mankind flees. Big shock. Mankind creates world-destroying device. Big shock. But yeah, that's when they get a message from a Yora that is apparently watching an amusing stage. So they go to look into it, and they find an amusement park. Which I kind of was a little bit saddened by this. Like, it felt like they got to the amusement park, they seen a band, and then boom, they were in somewhere. Like, I kind of wanted them to kind of absorb the surroundings a little more. But no, they end up finding some machine life forms that are acting out a performance. They explode. This lady songstress robot shows up, and they start fighting. Now, a few interesting things happen here. The lady songstress is essentially hacking other androids and using them as weapons. Like, their black box is still there, but it seems like it is hacking them and causing them to be adornments, like to make itself beautiful. It's just attaching all these things to itself to make itself beautiful and technically using them as weapons. So kind of interesting for once to see that, yes, the machine life forms themselves can also hack the androids. I kind of assumed it was always a one-way thing, and they might run into difficulties in going that one-way route, but it looks like this is both directions as well. But yeah, through this whole thing, it's sort of just kind of implying this one machine life form became obsessed with the concept of beauty. The concept of being beautiful for this one person, trying to find the perfect parts to attach to itself to become beautiful. But yeah, 9S is getting messed up. 2B has to hack in, which is apparently not something that a B model is supposed to do. And then once they destroy it, they find a fragment of the core of a machine life form and specifically point out that it has a similar structure as a plant cell, So again, going back to this idea of somehow these machine life forms are somehow becoming a living thing, essentially. But yes, the last scene was very unsettling. And again, this goes back to that whole thing of like, one, their ability to sort of make something that is not human seem human, and thus it feels wrong. But at the same time, this seems to be 9S's story. They are hitting very heavily on the idea of 9S being very, very emotional, which is interesting because 2B has always been trying to tell 9S to not be emotional. 9S is seeking revenge. 9S is angry, furious at the machine life forms. Again, keeps pointing out the idea of those that have been sent before us that have died, dying in vain. And then here in this situation with these two robots that seemingly don't seem like they are aggressive. And again, mimicking humans in the idea of pleading for their lives, and he destroys them. Don't hesitate. Which, honestly, I agree both ways. From 9S's perspective, it makes sense because these things are just mimicking statements by humans. Okay, mimic the statement that makes it seem like I am in distress and that I am not dangerous and that I'm pleading for my life. Repeat that line over and over again to get them to not attack me. But again, from the other perspective, is we're seeing that these machine life forms, a lot of them are not aggressive and that they are trying to seek human knowledge and could become peaceful. It's that gray area, that difficult gray area, and yes, technically a very difficult stance to be within a war. But that seems to be why they take a 9S, like this very aggressive revenge story of his viewpoint of everything. But yeah, fantastic episode. Great comeback for this series. I cannot wait for more. I hope it does seem like, and maybe this might be the case, that it seems like they're going to be going into the spring season with this series, which is great because typically with shows that delay this long, they'll just show what they can show and they'll show the last episodes like at the end of another season. So hopefully this means that no more delays. I don't know, A1 Pictures and Aniplex, I don't trust them anymore. I can't trust anything with this series, with this entire industry anymore, because we've gotten like 16 delays in the last 3 months. So we'll see. But great comeback. Super unsettling. Love the horror feel of it. The setting, the music. Oh my gosh, the music. The 2B butt shots. Yes, tons of 2B butt shots. I almost forgot to mention the 2 butt shots. Not 2 of them, but just 2B, but it's my joke. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to go down below and hit that like button. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, a tips link, a super thanks, and a membership button down below. I greatly appreciate everybody that supports the channel. You guys mean a lot to me, and y'all take care.